Hello viewers, thank you for joining us for yet another episode of Sunday Politics on Trust Television, coming to you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital city. My name is Ali M. Ali, your host. The official commencement of the campaign for the 2023 general election is weeks away. However, what is gaining traction every day is the shape of the campaign council. The APC, for example, has since named Governor Samuel Lalong of Plateau State as the Director General of the Presidential Campaign Council. It has also named Festus Keyamo and Hannatu Musawa as spokesperson and deputy spokesperson, respectively. The PDP too has named Dino Malai and Daniel Bwala as spokesperson. Two in the same part is New Nigerian People's Party, whose presidential candidate, Dr. Rabi Musa Konkoso, recently named Honorable Abdulmumin Jibrin and Ladipo Johnson as spokespersons. A common denominator in the lineup is that 4 out of the 6 spokespersons are lawyers. Only Jibrin and Malai are not. The spokesperson have set to work already. Malai, Kiyamo, there have been a lot of fireworks sparking of questions like who is the ideal spokesperson? What skill subset a spokesperson needs to promote their candidate or their candidates. Joining me to discuss this today is Mr. Kasim Afebua, a journalist and former Commissioner of Information in Edo State. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you. It's a pleasure for having me.
Thank you for being in our studio. Before we continue, we'll take a quick break, and when we return, Mr. Afebua will give us a sketch of the ideal spokesperson. Stay tuned. Don't go away. Welcome back. If you are just tuning in, you are watching Sunday Politics on Trust Television, and we're discussing spokesperson and the 2023 general election. Our guest is Mr. Kasim Afebua. Now, before you answer this question, and I think our viewers will want to know your political status now. Exactly. Yes. I know
yes. I'm a voter. I'm a Nigerian voter. I have my voter's card. That's my status.
That's your status. You are not pitching. You are not in any of the political parties.
I don't belong to any party for now.
I see. Interesting.
But I have resigned my membership of the PDP, and I made that a public declaration.
Well, I thought you pitched your tent with the APC. But
No, I have not joined the APC.
Okay.
I'm always sympathetic to the candidate of the APC.
Very interesting there.
Yeah.
Well, I've been former commissioner, a journalist, and been former media advisor. And then a journalist. Now, the 2023 election is promising to be very exciting. At least going by the pronouncement of the various, especially the 2 main political parties, the spokesmen of their campaign council. Nigerians want to see us move away to a campaign of issues, not of individual, not personalities. But yourself being a whole government spokesman as Commissioner of Information in the past in your home state, what skill subset are required for you to be an effective spokesperson?
Well, thank you. I wouldn't know what informed your decision to choose this topic, but it's a very germane topic and germane issue that oftentimes people don't take cognizance of. You see, when you were making your intro, you mentioned Dino Malayo is a lawyer. He has not gone to law school, but he's finished his law program in Base University.
Well,
you know? So quite a number of these persons who are lawyers and appearing to spokesperson is because of the nature of the country. That's what they call underemployment.
I see.
Yes. Because,
underemployment?
Yeah, they are underemployment because they are not trained.
Oh, you mean lawyers are underemployed or?
Underemployed for the position of spokesperson.
Oh, okay.
That's underemployment. Lawyers should go to the field, to the court to go and argue cases for you and me. They should go and facilitate the process of ensuring that law and rule of law takes precedence over any other thing. But when you see a lawyer becoming spokesman here and there, and you see them telling lies, you see hypocrisy, you see all manners of things, it also takes away from the substance of such a lawyer when he goes to stand before a judge to argue case for his client. So while I say it's underemployment, because they are not trained ab initio to be information managers, image launderers, damage control, and all of that. You know, if you want to do public relations, the Institute of Public Relations should try to collaborate with political parties with a view to ensuring that those persons who are coming up as spokesperson have some level of exposure into the nuances of public relations practice, the doctrines, and all of that, so that you know that a professional is handling a task before him. But these days, they just choose people who they think are good in oratory. They just go there to go and, but there's so much that goes with that. And that is why you are saying, rather than devoting energy and time on the issue of the issues that affect us, issue-based campaign, they will go for personalities. They'll be attacking personalities and all of that, calling them names and all of that. In a typical public relations practice, you have to bring out the strength and weaknesses of your candidate, dissect them, put them into perspective, and see how to plug them in based on their capacity, their strength, their weaknesses, and every other skill that they possess. Because in marketing an individual for election, you are going to be telling the electorates what you think this individual can do when every other thing has given way. What is his capacity to hold the country together, for example? What are the ideas, policies that he's bringing on board that will be a remarkable departure from what obtains if they are not working well? How does he intend to retool or rejig the economy of the country? What policy programs and architecture does he have in place to navigate the very sensitive and delicate issue of insecurity, the poverty, the hunger in the country? What are the thinking of this individual candidate? How does he intend to speak to the minds and the consciences of Nigerians with respect to his policies and programs? What is the level of sincerity of that candidate in terms of dispensing with that? And so when I see people call themselves spokesperson of this campaign, and predominantly they are becoming lawyers, a lot of lawyers are doing that. The first question I ask myself, is it that they don't have briefs from clients to go and be representing them in court? Is that why they are delving into this purely public relations profession?
Well,
so these are the issues.
Let me cut you there, just so that perhaps you would say the lawyers are not the first set of, if you recall, Dr. Doyin Okupe was presidential spokesperson as a medical doctor. And before then...
No, I was just using the law, the legal profession, just as point of reference. Whether Okupe, whether anybody. They are just, it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist in other climes, but essentially it should be a position for persons who have received formal training and exposure in public relations practice. You see, it's like not every journalist has the gift of the gab.
Absolutely.
And not every journalist has the capacity to also be spokesman. If I want to use the standard of Garba Shehu and Femi Adesina, I would say that they are not solid spokesmen, because their statements and utterances do not appeal to the sensitivity and the sensibilities of Nigerians as presently captured in a quagmire, of economic doldrums, of hunger, of poverty, of starvation, of internally displaced person, of insecurity. You have to be able to give statements that can resonate hope, because the only thing that sustains a country is the hope that tomorrow will be better. Once they become hopeless, it becomes a state of anarchy. And once it becomes a state of anarchy, jungle justice prevails. But in this present time, how do you feel, Ali M. Ali, knowing you too well? You are reading a newspaper and a spokesman of a president, the #1 citizen of the country, is telling you that if those who cannot even perform in bed, they blame it on President Buhari. That is the most, insensitive statement.
Well, it could have been light-hearted in a light-hearted manner.
No. You don't play with issues of libido when it comes to governmental affairs. You don't reduce governance, serious business of governance, to that level of trying to ridicule the mindset and the consciousness of the people who you are supposed to resonate hope with. You don't say somebody cannot perform because that maybe is blaming Buhari. The mere fact that the person cannot even perform in bed is enough reason why you should sympathize with the person. Maybe he has been affected badly by your poor economic policies, by the psyche that has been affected by your own, poor policy implementation. So you don't ridicule a man for certain handicap. In this case, libidinal handicap. You don't use that as a basis to say you want to create comic relief or whatever. No. But you see, some of these persons can be very good writers and all of that, but again, do they have the hearts to play on sentiments that will resonate hope in the minds of the people? I said no.
So you're saying now, for you to be an effective spokesperson, either for government or for campaign, you have to be mindful of the sensitivities and the sensibilities of the people you are communicating.
Very key.
Now, because now you have two set of outstanding journalists, which from your remarks now, it would appear they're coming short of the ideal set to have as spokesperson. And then lawyers, clearly they're even trained to be part of any communication process.
That is where the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations should come in and collaborate with political parties. You see, the recruitment process of leadership is so important that you cannot leave it in the hands of quacks. And it's so important to the point that if you do not want to participate in party politics, you'll be leaving the stage for those who feel that, they are professionals, have masters in law. You are trained to solicit in law courts, advocacy. But when it comes to manage the image of a candidate running for election, you leave that to the professionals, the public relations practitioners, because they know the right tools to use. I can be very conversant with the provisions of the Constitution. I can make references to that. I can quote, legal phrases and all that, what have you. It doesn't make me a lawyer.
Absolutely.
I can't go and stand before a judge and be advocating or soliciting on behalf of my client. No matter how eloquent I sound, the fact that I wasn't trained as a lawyer makes me a quack. So, the same thing in public relations. Public relations has got its own templates. It's got its own doctrines and all of this. But these days, of course, because everybody wants to be important, everybody wants to be seen as spokesman. From there, if they participate in the process, they get appointed and all of that, they leave their job. So, it's a huge task. I expect image makers, image launderers, event managers, damage control professionals and all of that to be able to receive some form of formal training. You call it refresher course or anything that will be able to equip you with the nuances of the responsibility that you have been vested with by virtue of your appointment. But if in this case we had to do that, when I was in Edo government as a commissioner, I went for a refresher course in the United States Information Service, USIS, and were trained by one solid man, aside from being a member of the NIPR and all that. We were trained by one of the best hands, Eduardo Q, in the profession. How to, even the statements you issue, how appropriate are the statements? What kind of language should you use? Some of our persons who felt so, so excited by that, when they come and with those who we know that they are very good in their eloquence, when we were doing the practical exercise, they fell short of the conditionalities. So you see, it's very easy for you to speak the English language, but it is very difficult for you to apply the right words to suit situations and purpose, so that you carry a whole lot of people along. Now, when you are speaking, it's like during Dr. Ruben Abati, first class brain in theater arts. You understand? He also has a law degree. He's got PhD and all of that. But the statement he was issuing during Jonathan were part of the reasons why Jonathan lost the election. There were times that Dr. Ruben Abati was calling Nigerians nincompoops.
Well, hold it right there, Mr. Kazim. We're going on a short break. Yeah. And when we return, we continue this conversation because it's already engaging. You've thrown a lot of scenarios here about the professionalism that not all journalists can be good PR practitioners. Yeah. So hold the thought right there. Because we're going for a short break, and when we return, we continue while we stop. Don't go away. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You are watching Sunday Politics on Trust Television. If you're just joining us, we are discussing 2023 Spokespersons and 2023 election. With us in the studio is Kazim Afebua, former Commissioner of Information, Edo State. Now, you listed a number of qualities expected of a PR person: language, training, empathy, so to say. Yeah. The choice, diction. Yeah. Now, a lot of people confuse that anybody could possibly do that. If you are elegant, if you are persuasive, expressive. But some of these things are clearly, from what you've put forward, cannot hold. But what do you think happened? The best brains, once they go into government, like you listed the case of Ruben Abati. Yeah. You see, because they are not trained public relations practitioners, they are swallowed by the pressure of work. They don't know how to discriminate between what is good for the public and what should be reserved for the archives. And so what you find is unleashing tempers when it is not necessary. You can't issue a statement for a president and you refer to even one or two citizens because they criticize your government. You call them nincompoops. You call them naysayers. No. The president of a country is the number one citizen of that country. After God, he's the next person. And the president of a Nigerian government appears to be the strongest because each time you have a president, the constitution is almost suspended. Everybody will be waiting for the president, say, what is the body language of the president? Mm-hmm. What is the president talking about? In other crimes, they use the constitution, they defer to it. They cite, provisions to argue their cases. But in our own case, it's not like that. So, when you now begin to use foul language to refer to certain citizens of government, because a government is supposed to be made up of the centripetal and the centrifugal forces. Both of them will be coalescing. And it's just like a theory of contradiction. When they cancel themselves out, a new sense of theory will come up. Yeah, absolutely.
So, as a spokesman, you have access to information that the ordinary person on the street does not have. Or even the professionals in their offices, they don't have. Why? Because you have all the apparatus of gathering information and intelligence. So, when Emily is talking about a subject matter, I am a spokesman of a president. I'll say, yes, I commend you for your perspective you have brought. But you have also failed in this aspect because these are the facts that we're able to garner from our own privileged sources. You are a government. You have access to DSS, police, DMI, all of the NIA. So your information should be superior to anybody. But the moment you descend to that level of insulting the psyche of the average Nigerian, calling them names, then you have lost it. That's where temper management comes in. Because some of the things can be very, very insulting, you know. You can indulge that at the level of governorship.
We can see from the ongoing...
Presidents?
Yeah,
No.
from the interaction of the spokesperson so far, their media appearances. Well, this is not the first time, for example.
Yeah.
Keyamo will be facing Dino Malai. And in all, I recall 2019, they've squared up and they're squaring up now. Would you say that what's their assessment, their rating in 2019 and now? Are they dwelling on issues,
for me,
or are they still stuck in the past?
No. I don't see a Dino Malai as a spokesperson.
What do you see him as?
I see him more as an entertainer. Who has over the years, produced some, clips, trailers of songs locally produced, easily released to social media platforms for people to laugh and celebrate. But in the act of governance, don't forget that I'm aware that he was a senator. That's lawmaking process. You can also bring comedy into that because our lawmaking process has become one of ridicule and not necessarily one that is defined by some level of intellectuality. Anything that goes into National Assembly is almost like a fait accompli. So, to a large extent, we see all manners of comedies playing out. So, when you want to address issues, I will expect a Dino Malai to look at his candidate and use his qualities that he feels can appeal to the sensibility of the voters to market his product. Rather than calling Keyamo. Once you start calling Keyamo, you are already derailing. Because Keyamo is not the subject matter of your being a spokesman. The subject matter of your being a spokesman is your candidate who you feel, in your own estimation, has the capacity to govern the country. If I differ with you, I will only argue on the point of the weaknesses of your candidate, and I will be hammering on that. Then I will bring my candidate's strength to compete in the colony of ideas. But oftentimes you see people lose sense of the real issue where you want to debate it. And it's because of the circumstances we find ourselves in this country. People love this kind of comedy. They love this kind of hot exchange and all of that. But it should not take away the substance in what you are trying to market.
Yes. Well, let me just take it slightly at the onset of this program when you said, well, you've quit the PDP.
Yeah.
And now, well, your ship has not docked in any docking.
You're not going to dock. I'm only supporting the candidate.
Yeah, that's the question I was going to ask. Because in 2019 now, you actually spoke on behalf of Atiku. Yeah. Now, what really happened that you left, you got off that ship, and then you are not docking anywhere?
You see, I am one Nigerian. I don't think I'm one itinerant politician who wants to swallow hook, line, and sinker all the banalities you see in politics in the name of party loyalty. Even when they are poking their hands on into your eyes, they say you just crush them and don't blink. It doesn't work like that with me. Of course, in Nigeria, we are still striving for the ideal. We haven't gotten to that level. We are still at the level of America in the early days of post-independence, where you have members of Jacobian scandal clubs, those who are always struggling for power, captured in that club. They will now be scandalizing their opponents in the name of trying to demarket them. That's what we are still operating, and that's about 250 years ago in American history. So for me, in 2019, 2018 to be specific, I was a supporter of Governor Tambuwa I wasn't a supporter of Atiku. When we lost at the PDP convention in Port Harcourt, they prevailed on me that I should be one of the spokespersons for their PDP presidential campaign council.
I see.
I initially resisted, but friends told me no and all that.
Yes.
So I supported, and I did the best I could. Even though doing that job was the most difficult task, because as a public relations person, I need to interrogate my client. I need to sit him down and tap his brain. I need to dissect him so that I know his weaknesses and all that. When you speak to me...
You mean you never had the chance to do that?
No way.
You never had the chance to do that?
There was no opportunity between us spokesmen.
Well, now that you're supporting Tinubu, did you have the chance to speak with him?
I have interacted with Tinubu one-on-one for like 9 times in the last 1.5 months.
Interesting. Well,
and interacting in such a way that I ask probing questions. Because before you market someone, before you engage in marketing someone, you must know the person's whims and caprices. Yeah. You must understand his own appeal when it comes to dealing with the issues. You want also tap his brain to know his perspective.
Well, Mr. Kazim Afebwa, we have to end it here because of time. You've been quite engaging.
1 hour for this kind of
I guess we'll come back for you
so
another time.
So that we can educate a lot of people.
Yes. Well, viewers, will come to the end of today's program. Goodbye. See you another time.